Welcome to Bonehead Weekly. And this week we want to first apologize that scheduling this thing is a bitch. We have people who request us to get back on the couch now that James is back in Lexington, and we'd love to get back on the couch. But as I told a couple of people, hell, I even told James this Sunday, it's hard to schedule a Zoom, much less getting all three of us in the same room. So we do apologize that we missed Memorial Day weekend. We missed a couple of weekends before that too. We'll try to do better. Just give us. My only defense is it didn't cost you anything. It's free.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
so much. All right, James.
Um, so I thought for this week, we haven't done an odd off the cuff weird topic recently. We've been doing historical studies, we've been doing stuff like that. And I thought, shouldn't we go back and have some fun? And I thought, why don't I just
Why
tell
start
these
now?
well, I mean, we somebody should have fun watching this show and or involved in this show, and it's never us. So why don't we try it? Why don't we give it a college try? And I said to these gentlemen, and when they didn't respond, I said it to Joe and Chad, why don't we
Yes.
pitch some shows? The reboots are big, right? You're getting reboots all the time. You got
That
another, I know what you did last summer coming. It's getting rebooted. The kids
IP,
love the
buddy.
reboot.
It's all about that IP.
Yep.
That sweet,
The
sweet IP. I mean,
the kids love,
$150 million this weekend for a live action half-ass remake of a movie that was just fine the way it was.
yeah, but it's over 20 years old now.
I
Somebody
know.
pointed that out to me, and then I took my walker and hit him. Anyway, um, so yeah, Joe's right. So we've got these IPs that people love and still remember, but wouldn't it be great? And we've seen this happen. We've seen reboots happen where they make them grittier, right?
Yeah.
With we're going to take like one of my favorites actually, and I loved it. I loved the Perry Mason that HBO, I think it was HBO
I
did.
haven't watched that.
Oh,
I
it's
found the
good. But I
HBO.
mean it's set during the Great Depression era. But it is so good. But it is bleak and gritty and it doesn't make you ain't gonna get that Raymond Burr ending with a quip at the end of the episode. It ain't gonna happen.
Or with it,
Well, and if you go even further back, the it's long forgotten, didn't go anywhere, but the dark reboot of the Munsters was fantastic.
Oh yeah, yeah, with
Eddie Izzard, Jerry
yeah.
O'Connell.
I've
Oh
never
man,
seen
yeah.
it. I don't even know can you even find it?
It was
I never
streaming.
got to watch it.
Maybe on YouTube.
It was streaming for a long time. And actually I watched it when ABC was who did that? ABC or
I
CBS,
think it
Chad?
was I think it was ABC.
Oh, really? I
Because
thought
they aired
PBS.
it once
Here
as
we're
a
all
TV
wrong.
movie of the week. And yeah,
Oh
you're
wait, it might have
absolutely
been Fox. I don't know. I need to look it up.
I don't think it was Fox. But I can remember the part where
I'm sure. ABC.
Grandpa Mustard says, "I'm going to go back to feeding," is hilarious and dark as the day is long. I loved it. You're absolutely right. So I was saying, so the pitch I sold this on was I sent to these gentlemen just an example. What if you took the Andy Griffith show and
Yeah.
did a Mayberry Police Department or Sheriff's Department and made it more like CSI or
It was
NYPD
it was
Blue,
NBC Mocking. It was called
Mockingbird
Mockingbird
Lane?
Lane.
Yep. Um, and so what would that look like? What would that mean? So what would it be to take some classic TV shows and give them dark, edgy reboots? And so I said we should all take some time to pitch reboots of classic shows that we think need to be made gritty and just that we could sell these to networks. And as you probably know from all our efforts, these will all become bestsellers. So, anybody
Well,
want to kick us off?
real quick.
Um,
No, I'm sorry, Chad, but real quick, because Chad has a bunch of notes that I was just, I, ca- I, now when you were pitching it, I have this whole Mayberry RFD, but basically, and there's a great scene in CSI. I've never watched a lot of CSI. I know Chad was a huge fan of it. Boy, the rat comes out of the mouth, and he goes, he's been ratted out. And I just want to hear Don Knotts' Barney go, well, golly, or just golly, or just Scomer or somebody. He's been ratted out.
Well, no, and I agree. Like, I want the scene, and why am I blanking on the name of the actor?
Jim
CSI
Neighbors.
Miami, where at the end, like he
David
always says the
Caruso.
line and takes the glasses off. Yeah, David Caruso. Like, he's Just yes, I want that. You're absolutely right. I want that. Except instead of David Caruso, I agree. I want a Don Knotts type character to be doing the quip right before the Who starts screaming.
Yep. Yep. Sorry, Jeff.
No, it's okay. I mean, I'll go first. Uh, when you came up with this idea, this was the first one that popped in my head. Alf.
Oh yeah.
But here's the kicker. Here's the twist. He doesn't have a hunger for cats. He has a hunger for humans.
I've seen that video, to quote my late dead uncle. There's a
He
bunch of them come to this planet and
late
have a
and dead.
yeah,
He doesn't get to just be one or the
they
other.
have a rumbly and they're tumbly and it's for human hands and flesh.
You could even have a comedic element, like maybe he's space stoned.
So
That's what they called
I
him.
want to get
would
space stoned.
why would the
And
Tanner family bring him in then though, Chad?
Yeah.
hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your vision.
Yeah. You
Take me
son
on
of a
your
bitch.
vision quest, Dan Dan.
So then he gets space stoned, crash land, and he finds that he's hungry. He's got the munchies. And he scans and he finds the perfect planet that has his food, Earth, and it's humans. And then on his way here, again, he just crashes because he can't control the plane because he's all whacked out. And the Tanners find him. And at first he wants to eat them, but then he realizes he's trapped. So he slowly merges into this family with a secret agenda of he's going to eat them.
But why couldn't he eat like a hobo?
Well, that's what I was getting at because somehow they managed to keep, and then that we were going to revisit that whole episode where him and Willie are stuck on that train.
That's a good one because all he wants to do is ride the rails with Willie Tanner because Willie Tanner was kind of it comes out through the show because out of the three of us, I would appreciate if you all would agree for some odd reason it's the one attachment I have. Well, let's kid. I have a bunch of attachments to childhood. Look around, but Willie Tanner was a bit of a wild a loose. What's the word I'm looking for here? You two,
He was
you
a
know.
dirty hippie,
He's a hippie, yeah, and he just kind of right, and Al finds out, and then he wants to do it and eat beans, and he finds out it's just not as much fun as he thinks.
but and then on that train is a nice hobo, and Willie catches him mid munch.
Hmm. I got caught
I,
mid-bunch once.
and then what was the neighbor's name, Joe?
Ochmoneks, the
Yeah,
Ochmoneks.
Ochmoneks.
Ochmoneks. And
That's
secretly,
amazing how Joe sounds just like James
you
Thomas.
could do the whole
Listen,
story
that's all I
of.
remember, Joe. The Ochmoneks. I always
There,
wanted a sequel or a spinoff.
I think there
Raquel.
could be a running gag where he eats a new neighbor every episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna need
Achmonics
another
come.
neighbor.
We're gonna need another Achmonic.
You know what? I don't know about the hobo episode, but I do like the idea that every episode we're going to need a new neighbor.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
I think the hobo episodes. I think that's perfect because when I was pitching it, I'm like, that's the best episode because that's one of my favorites is the train episode.
So one of the ones that has scarred the most children is the dying girl episode.
I was gonna bring that up.
What if he ate the girl?
That was my next appeal.
That's yeah. I mean, it could be
Well,
a
I'm sorry.
it could be a very special episode where he, it's Alf's view of assisted suicide.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, let me eat that cancer for you. Rips off her
So
head.
see, guys, we're already just gelling. This is a perfect episode to reboot into a dark turn.
Uh, I
But the Tanner's just because he's just so lovable, even though he's trying to eat the little boy on a nightly basis.
Huh.
that's
Boy,
like build him.
boy wakes up constantly in a bath of olive oil, and you know
Hmm.
I need some garlic. Sorry.
that's my gritty reboot first one. Alf.
All right, I'll go real quick because I don't have a lot with this one because I still didn't have James and I were both like, what was the topic? Which is funny considering James picked the topic.
Dude, I sent you all three or four, and then I forget.
I forgot too. I actually was like, oh God, I hope we kind of do a no topic and just sit around bullshit for 30 minutes. But
That's
I
more or less
actually
what this is.
think why and maybe Chad has this on his list, but why wouldn't you do a gritty Inspector Gadget?
No, not on mine. Never
Oh,
thought
that
of it.
would be. I mean, that would be a darker version of
A
like.
dark version of Inspector Gadget. You have Claw, it's all set up there.
Yeah.
You just Penny's a hooker. I mean, not a young girl, but she's like a grown hooker, and he has to take
Oh,
her in.
but you could do it like, yeah, you could do it like 5 years after the cartoon. You could build on that reality, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
she
So
tried to
all
go
the
away to
things
college, but
and all the things that she
yeah,
saw because it was darker and grittier because what happened was is the reboot tells the true story because the shit that they saw got Hollywoodized and turned into a cartoon, and she's had to live with it, and she's developed this drug problem, and she, failed out of college. Parents won't have anything to do with it. Inspector Gadget has given up on her, and and then she's trying to get her life straight. And
of course,
then there's an
brain's dead.
episode where yeah, there's a episode where she has to come to terms with a lot of stuff that she did because one of the Johns is the death that they're investigating, and she remembers everything, and he was awful to her and did these awful things, but she did it for the money. Oh my
So it,
God, I have written way too much into this backstory,
so
haven't
wait, if she's grown, that means Inspector Gadget has aged. So should he be old and kind of falling apart because he's
I?
no
He could
longer
be.
popular?
He's not popular anymore. That's a good one, Chad. That's a good one. And this one particular episode, she has to deal with the trauma that she had, but she also has to solve the case because this guy's still a piece of shit and was still murdered, though.
Like he doesn't have helicopter propellers anymore, so he has to like build with lawnmower blades.
But the state won't keep him up because he's not as popular, and everyone thinks it's a stupid idea and it's a waste of money.
Hmm.
Do do
This
do
is
do do. We are going to fuck this. Do 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 do
so
do
does the
do
John,
do.
and then one of the Johns could end up being Dr. Claw.
Now you're taking it too far.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
I want.
I give
No,
you
I've got it.
armchair psychology and you
The
give me
gritty.
this
I've got
third
a
act
gritty way we can
twist.
handle the.
I think Dr. Claw,
I've got a Dr. Claw twist for you.
he's
He's
the one that
given
got her on
up.
drugs.
Like
Huh?
and that's part of the issue is that Dr. Claw was sort of like it's almost like a Cold War story, Chad. Dr. Claw had all these villains in line underneath him, but once Dr. Claw gives up, he's like, this guy's an idiot and I still can't beat him. And he retires, and then you have all these rogues that are no longer supervised, and so they're unpredictable, and that's why Inspector Gadget can't quit because now there's these rogue agents that used to be under Dr. Claw.
What if
His
Dr.
former chief is a quadriplegic because he got blown up so many times that he's lost
Yeah,
all of his limbs.
That's not bad. He's also
yeah.
addicted to drugs. Everyone's addicted to drugs except Dr. Claw, because Dr. Claw actually, as we come to find out through the gritty reboot, was very misunderstood. Actually, more of a good guy. And Inspector Gadget, not as squeaky clean behind those propeller blades as we think. Do 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 do. Can we get
Mm.
Don Adams to star again?
I'm pretty sure he's out, Joe.
Why?
I'm, well, you talked about gritty reboots. He ain't
Yeah.
getting rebooted no more.
Oh, oh no, no, not Don Adams. No. All right, James.
James, what's yours?
I've got a pitch, and I'm even going to retitle it, but it's going to use the same premise as the original show. Gentlemen, I want to talk to you about my pitch for a show called The Vessel. Now, hear me out. It's a story, it's a very gritty reboot of an existing IP about a NASA astronaut who crash lands in a vessel. But when he crash lands on this small island and he finds a different type of vessel
Yeah.
wherein perhaps there is an ancient djinn, perhaps a genie,
Mm-hmm.
and he summons forth the genie, and the genie can only stay in our realm as long as he is okay. But NASA turns on him because they find out that he has this source of power and pursues him and the genie. The genie has to protect him, but at the same time, the genie has to destroy this power that's coming to get him. Gentlemen, it's time we rebooted a dark and grim version of I Dream of Genie.
Oh, 110,000. I hate it when people do that, but I completely agree. That is a story that needs a dark
I
reboot.
I think though that it should be "Who Never Wish She Grants." It's a sick, twisted version of the wish.
Well, I think it should be more of, so we're all taking this different ways. He thinks that I agree. I see what you're saying, but that's been used so many times. Why can't we do it? I Dream of Jeannie, but do you guys remember Red Shoe Diaries?
No.
Yes, with David Duchovny.
I Dream of Jeannie. That's where I want to go with it. Yeah.
I'm confused.
Oh, that's just one tawdry topless where nothing ever works out and the husband ends up killing the wife or somebody's having an affair and blah 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 and she just kind of goes around giving these wishes, but it's kind of late Cinemax night show.
Yeah, now see, I want magic
We all
versus
three went
NASA
different ways with this one.
I want a genie versus the military powers trying to track down this astronaut.
Yeah.
And he has to like, and the fact that she only understands that to keep him alive, she has to destroy.
Also, another way you could do that was you'd have to track down an astronaut because he was in this planet where these apes were.
No, no, I don't think anybody would watch that type of movie.
You are you sure?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
Sounds a lot like Aldous Huxley's books of Apes in Essence, and that's never been made into a movie, even though he wrote that. I mean, somebody made a movie, I think, about by a Frenchman about that, but nobody did Aldous Huxley, and everybody loves Aldous Huxley.
Yeah, he's right there under Stephen King and Tucker Carlson. I was trying not to. I was trying to say Sutter Kane, and all was coming to my mind was Tucker Carlson. That is so sad. Chad,
This is my throwaway one. I'm putting my throwaway one in the middle. I want to start off huge with Alf, but I think this one deserves a gritty reboot. Now, granted, I've only seen a few of these episodes because the show was just pure saccharine when it was out. But I did have a crush on the lead. I say we make a dirty reboot of Touched by an Angel.
is it going to be a Red Shoe Diary touched by an angel?
Like, define dirty, sir.
Yes, define dirty, sir.
Well,
Are we talking gritty or
yeah,
dirty?
gritty. Let's do
Oh,
gritty
damn it.
because instead because the one thing Touched by the Angel didn't have, and God forbid one of our listeners is a huge Touched by an Angel fan and will correct me.
Which
There
is it?
was not a whole lot of devil in Touched by an Angel.
Was anybody really touched often? I didn't feel like I got touched. I was never touched enough.
You missed Touched by an Angel and went and just waited for Walker.
He didn't
That's what
touch
you
me
did.
either.
I wanted I wanted the feel goods. I didn't care about leg kicks and beards.
I didn't get touched. So, what
But
are you
yeah,
doing with Touched by an Angel? You want more devil?
I want more devil. Instead of her just going and say and she would like go every episode and find somebody in trouble and she would use her
Angel.
ways to help them out.
You would
But
bring out
now
Della Reese, Chad.
Della Reese, and you could even say Della Reese maybe is secretly the devil steering her in the wrong
I
direction.
want her to be secret. I want her to play the devil the same way she plays Red Fox's wife in Harlem Nights.
Knights. They're not they married in that movie?
I don't know, Chad. I want him to play
They
whoever she
might be right.
is,
I can't remember.
or his girlfriend or whomever. I
I love
want
that
him to.
movie so much and I can't remember it. But yeah, I think there could be a very dark battle of good versus evil in this, where there was not in the original. It was just all like hot Vaseline lenses and bright lights everywhere you went. But
It sounds like P. Diddy.
now she's in a battle to keep the devil from taking over Earth.
Hmm.
Kind of supernatural-esque.
I was always about to say this sounds a lot like Supernatural.
But yeah, but instead of Castiel, we have whatever Robert Downey's character was, and she's hot
Roman.
versus
Are you saying Castiel
Castiel.
wasn't hot?
Not for me, he wasn't.
I, I
Well,
don't even know you anymore.
truthfully, it was ruined for me when I heard his real voice, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" That
But he
guy,
has that castle.
yeah, that guy's been faking it the whole time.
That's my throwaway. You go next, Joe.
All right,
If you,
mine's really controversial, and I don't want to be canceled for this, but I feel like it's time, especially in the times that we live in, the times where people now are afraid to go out, are afraid to sometimes, depending on their ethnicity, to be who they are. It is time for Speedy Gonzalez and Slowpoke Rodriguez to have an actual gritty update, gentlemen.
What now? Could be
Everybody got quiet.
um. No, I'm trying to think of his name.
Yeah.
Um, shoot, who does the voice of Speedy now?
Oh, Fluffy.
Yeah,
Gabriel Iglesias. Yeah.
Gabriel. I was gonna say Gabino, who is an author and
Yeah.
does
Gabriel
not
Iglesias.
voice
I
him.
think he does. I think he did him for, yeah, the cartoon, the reboot cartoon or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
Huh.
and I'm half joking, but I'm half serious because I, isn't it time? I mean, of course, Warner Brothers is never going to do this. Of course, nobody's ever going to sign on to this. But I
No, they
think
kind of did with lunatics.
I didn't see
Oh, I
Lunatics,
don't
but did they
know.
talk about the
Nobody.
border and the wall
No,
and
no.
all those things?
It was just a dark reboot where the Looney Tunes became superheroes.
So, but yeah, but I'm talking about actual shit going on now. Like, Speedy has to get everyone away from ice. I'm
Oh, using his
serious.
speed.
It's because of
Yeah.
his speed. And Slowpoke has to be the mastermind behind it because he's Slowpoke Rodriguez and speed. And they are trying to save some people who may be very well documented, even not even undocumented, documented, who are getting picked up by ICE. No one's going to do this. And I realize that everything I said is probably the most controversial saying so far, but I, if you're going to do a gritty reboot, that was what came to my head. It
I mean,
reflects
it's
the
not terrible.
times where it reflects the times we're in politically.
To quote Chad's name, what a twist.
All right.
Yeah, James, go.
Oh, is it
Get us
me?
out of
Fuck
this
you
one.
both. I thought it was different.
No, well, I'm about ready to. So, as y'all know, I'm a big fan of which is controversial in and of itself, even though it was controversial when it was out at the time. I'm a big fan of this here sitcom, All
Yeah.
in the Family. I've got the complete series. Matter of fact, I have some duplicate seasons because I bought a box set of the complete series. But you know what's controversial at the time? They ran a warning before, the first episode there. This is a modern family talking about modern issues.
Yeah.
It's not going to be for everybody, and it went on to be a huge hit. Um, I think I think what we need to do is do a neo noir HBO, maybe kind of in the style of maybe Succession, but a prestige drama to update this and make it gritty. So Archie Bunker's no longer just this bigot who's only affecting his family. Archie Bunker's a former Union enforcer with ties to an underground dying, like they're being pushed out, they're dying, it's fading, blue collar criminal network
Yeah.
using the docks, using the taxi cab services and everything to do their business to manipulate people. Um, Gloria is still his liberal daughter who returns home, but she brings her activist husband who's looking into all this corruption affecting the blue collar people. And there's this big political scandal where Archie isn't found guilty, but he's accused and he manages to get out of it. But Mike's convinced that he's somehow involved. So Mike makes it his mission to leak data and to get data to slowly leak it to the journalist to prove that Archie did something wrong. While all this is going on, while Mike is secretly leaking anything he can find on Archie to the journalist and Bessie, you actually find out that Edith, all these years, has been more or less pretending to be sweet and naive, but she's actually been hiding her own dark, twisted trauma. And the reason she acts like that is because Archie isn't even her first husband. She murdered her first husband.
What? Eat it?
So
Stifle it. Boy, she stifled him.
yeah, that's what I mean. And Archie knows he just doesn't care because as long as she doesn't report on him, he doesn't care. All of this then comes to a head because Mike has to decide is he going to keep reporting it because he realizes that Gloria doesn't have a home and is not mentally stable if anything happens to her family. Like she cannot handle the loss of her family. And there's your season ender does he finally gets the silver bullet, the piece de resistance
Piece de resistance.
to take Archie down and to prove that liberals are going to win. But if he does so, he sacrifices his own wife's well-being.
And then we find out Archie's working for ICE and Speedy shows up.
So if you like Succession, if you like the network, if you like something like that, this is the
The
show for
show that
you.
you should avoid.
No, you should give me money to make this show just a dark, gritty. It's not just, it's the Sopranos. It's the Sopranos meets Beverly Hillbillies almost. These are blue collar people. They are in deep and they're not going to lose their way of life because they can't afford to.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So for mine,
This
I
is
went
your
to get
last one,
my
Chip.
last one. I'm going to try to make it count. My last one has was one of my favorite TV shows as a kid. It has one of the best theme songs in television history. Standing tall on the wings of my dreams. Anybody?
Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers. The gritty reboot. Except in this one, Balky is a serial killer.
You know what would be interesting if you made him into Speedy?
No, we're losing that idea, Joe. Just let it go.
No, no, no. It aggravates every time I do it. I watch that vein pop up. Keep going.
There's no vein. You're not bothering me at all. You're digging your own grave. Balky is a serial killer. Larry doesn't know it at first, but he notices people from their apartment building just keep disappearing. So they're brutally getting murdered, and Balky's playing this lovable, goofy person, but in reality, he is just a psychotic, absolute thug who just enjoys the seeing blood splattered on walls. I think it would be a great little twist. You know, you could watch him kill everybody from not Harriet Winslow. We wouldn't have Family Matters without Harriet Winslow. But what's his name? Oh, what's his name? What's the character's name? Her husband.
Carl?
Carl could be the cop investigating the murders. And he's getting nowhere because Balky is so good at covering his tracks. But meanwhile, Larry eventually finds out, and now he's struggling with here's my friend who's a serial killer. Do I turn him in? Do I not? We kind of have a Dexter-esque kind of little go back and forth between those two. So yeah, I think that's a good gritty reboot of Perfect Strangers where Balky's a serial killer.
All right. I'm having a hard time with my third one because what I really want to do is a gritty reboot of a wholesome show that still was around. But I want to do Dick Van Dyke. But the problem is, I think it's called Mad Men.
A bit.
It's a
A bit.
bit. I mean, it's Madison Avenue. It's comedy writing. I mean, it's just to me, it's kind of like taking that and flipping it. It's kind of like Mad Men. And then I started thinking about all those different Sherman. Oh God, I can't remember the last name of it. But he produced all those shows, and it CBS canceled them all, and because they were referred to as the Hick Network after a while. But whether it be Petticoat Junction, Green
Green Acre.
Acres, um, it all came from, it all came from Andy Griffith. But that being said, from that spun off to it. Is there an interesting way to do, and this is me talking out loud because I haven't quite figured it out in my head, and I've been sitting here trying to, where Green Acres, and I don't remember everybody's name, but Green Acres is a spinoff of Petticoat Junction, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. So
Vincent Sherman.
Vincent Sherman, thank you. So, um, was trying to figure out, is there a way where he has to go that we haven't seen before? Because we've seen it kind of a lot where he has to go to a farm, and we can't do it like he's in a witness protection. That doesn't work. It's been done too many times. Is it just because maybe we make his wife, who was played by Zsa Zsa, a country lady who kind of moved away and wanted to, give me one second, James, and
By
I'll
the
let
way,
you.
the name you're looking for is the Douglases.
Yeah, I don't remember them. I don't remember their names. I remember the actors' names before I do that. And she's actually, this is the only piece of property that is, and she never wanted to go back because She hated it there, and but this is the only place they got to go because they've lost everything. And I don't know if I want to do insider trading or anything like that because it's all been done to death. But for whatever reason, they have to go back and do live on this farm in Green Acres. James,
And it's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house, maybe.
Joe,
I
you
don't, I
said
wasn't going with
farm,
the
and I
horror
have it.
element
I
of it,
have it.
huh?
By the
No,
way,
no,
I was wrong. Vincent Sherman was it's Jay Summers is
I
who
have.
you're thinking
I
of.
have. We can make this completely timely, Joe.
Yeah.
Hear me out. They have to move to a farm, but it's a body farm
Oh,
where they let bodies decay. And he has to move there because he had other funding through a university, but it got cut under mysterious circumstances. And the only job he can get to do his research is running a body farm.
yeah.
That redefines what a green acre is. It could be
Hmm.
gangrene acres.
That's
The
not
swords.
bad.
Instead
That's
of the chores,
different.
you see it'd be the swords.
Hmm.
Green pus. Just us.
Yeah. That's,
Gangrene acres is the place for me. Oh
I just
my God, I'm brilliant.
no. It's well, sure, but moving around. I don't know. I just there's tons of other ways. Like get I saw the making of The Sopranos with David Chase is on HBO, and it's a 2 or 3 part. It's basically about David Chase, but it's also basically about The Sopranos, both. But and he was talking about one of the things when he was writing The Sopranos, especially in the writers' room, was he basically when he kicked out everybody's first 10 ideas. I can't remember the exact number, but and it was dreadful for most writers. But I understand where he was coming from, and it made it harder because well, everything you got past 10 was probably something different that you hadn't seen before because what's your knee jerk reaction, right? So, what are the first 10 things we can get through? So, Body Farm didn't occur to me. There you go. And I like the idea of Zsa Zsa's character of you're just not wanting to be there. And this is the only place they can go. This is the only thing they have left. It's all falling apart. There could be some sort of whatever, but this is it.
Yep.
James.
I'm torn. There's so many different ways you could go with this. But I'm gonna go with one that nobody talks about anymore. Um, no, you know what? I'm gonna go with what I want to see. There's a show that I want to see.
The
I think
Flintstones.
people would love to return to these characters, but I think it's time we twist it into a dark, dark, just gritty show. And the reason it came to me that we have to do this is because I'm looking at a poster for Bubba Hotep. And gentlemen, it's time we bring back the Golden Girls. We call the show The Golden Years.
Yeah.
It's about four
There is
elderly
already
women.
a show called The Golden Years, but keep going.
Well, the darker golden years.
The
It'll
first
be
one was
about
written by Stephen King, but keep going.
um the it's about these four elderly women. You keep the same relationships,
Mhm.
but they're in the only retirement community they can afford. When all of a sudden, it'll be perfect for fans of Only Murders in the Building who want finally some real grit and blood, gut, gore, and guts. Because all of a sudden, in the retirement community, people are being killed. And I don't mean, oh no, they had their throat slit. No, people are ripping out their intestines and wrapping it around their necks and hanging them in the public as warning to other senior citizens.
Who hurt you?
And these four elderly women realize that nobody cares about them. They're too old. It's like even in the newspapers, they're saying, well, they died, but they were in their 80s, so who cares? They weren't going to live much longer anyway. So they take it on their own that they are going to have to be the one to solve these horrific crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the show. You just
Oh.
have a season long arc of these four elderly women having to come together and figure out who is killing people off in their retirement community because nobody cares about them because they're elderly. And it's like, yeah, we need to stop it, but they're in their 80s, right? They're not going to live long.
So there's another way to go about that. I read an article about the Villages. You guys know what the Villages is? It's a retirement place in Central Florida.
Yeah, yeah. There was a
It's huge.
documentary made about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
huge. That's where I was thinking about going with the Golden Girls.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's again, dude. I could do these all day long.
Yeah,
There's so many ways we can take these shows.
number one place in Florida for STDs, not Miami,
No,
the Villages.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, so that's where
Blanche
I would.
Blanche would be the Blanche would be patient zero.
I don't know. I don't know. But once again, Red Shoe Diaries, the Golden Girls. All right. Any honorable mentions before we go? I know Chad's got to go.
No, I don't have any.
I have a couple just real quick that I think you could do. I think you could totally do a gritty reboot of the Smurfs where they've been decimated. There's no
Yeah.
longer 101, and that actually makes Gargamel more fierce because he realizes he's run out of time. A Smurf disease has killed most of them, and there's so few survivors. And Papa Smurf has basically been forced into the role of being a traumatized leader. He can't pull it together, and what he has to do is he actually has to start using dark magic to try to protect them, but it's slowly driving him crazy,
Yeah.
or it's slowly driving him toward the dark side, and that there's no real innocence left. But he has to make the decision: is he going to save his people, and do so at the sacrifice of his own innocence and purity, or is he going to let his people die?
Hmm.
I bet
Well,
that ain't in that Rihanna movie.
maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I,
All
I
right.
think. I mean, there's 400 of these we could do. Beavis and
There
Butthead
is.
is
This
right
is.
for one.
I'd like to spend a little bit more time on this one and come back to it someday. I wonder how this episode will play. I wonder how the views will be. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. Now that
The
we've kind of
the
delved
kids
into it.
today don't. Everybody wants everything dark and gritty. It's about time we had a Smurfs where, you know, you have to see Papa Smurf slit the throat of a bird to get the blood to do the dark
Or an Andor
magic.
Smurf, right? Like there's a mission,
Yeah.
and they ain't all making it home.
Oh no, no, no,
No.
no.
Spoiler alert:
And
Grumpy got a little
those
too bitchy.
yep, yeah, no. Well, and Vanity. Oh my God, at what cost, Vanity? What
And
cost?
Smarty, not as much. Or was it Smarty's fault?
Brainy,
Brainy, Smarty,
Brainy.
Brainy. I don't know. Speaking of which,
And Papa
what-
Smurf says that if you do dark arts and bring back the dead, it will be good for everybody. And that's what Papa Smurf says. And then they hit him, you see.
all right, this has been Bonehead Weekly.